Hey, it's Janine coming to you for your Diamond Mentor moment. I am your intercultural keynote speaker, neurosomatic keynote speaker, and something new for 2024, we're building out this year, is prismatic leadership. What does that look like? I'll be doing a few book reviews in the future as well, and I want to talk about one that has inspired prismatic leadership. Our logo has been the diamond since the beginning, since I was given a replica of a diamond and really thought about what it means to be a leader in this type of climate, this workforce, and how is prismatic leadership now the way that leaders need to focus, the things that we need to focus on, and how we have our internal journey as a leader and also how we lead those in our charge. So prismatic leadership, I first want to talk about the book called Tomorrow Mind: Thriving at Work with Resilience, Creativity, and Connection Now and in an Uncertain Future. This book is really amazing, by the authors Gabriella Rosen Kellerman and Martin Seligman. And they just really go through basically a lot of things that we've already been training on. The importance of the inner game, of mindset, resilience, the cognitive agility, and all of those things that leaders really need to get down. What's going on even at the neurological level? What's going on in your biology, right? How do you have all of the regulations, emotional regulation, thought processes, and all of those things together? So we're going to look at what they talk about, the prism, and then I'll talk about how intercultural creativity is a huge aspect of prismatic leadership. They have the acronym PRISM, talking about PRISM. And I mentioned this in a previous video. I just want to go over it. So something that we're calling like perspective imagination, that this meta skill positions leaders to be ahead of change. When we think of imagination, we think of a childlike skill, right? Children in their imagination, something we call functional agility versus functional fixedness. When I look at an item, do I just see it in the function that it was originally created for? Like, this is a pen with the function to write. Or can I see it with different functions? Can I use it in different ways? If you've ever had given a gift to a child and they play with the gift, but then they play with the box for 2 hours, because the box has more functional agility, I can create with it anything I want by using my imagination. How do we take that same skill that children automatically have and move it into leadership, into our C-suite, into with adults? How do we increase their ability to have wonderful, strong, imaginative capabilities and to be perspective at the same time? And so the R, so that's the P, the R stands for resilient agility. There's actually cognitive exercises you can do to build your resilience. So what does the 7 gems of intercultural creativity, how do those build your resilience, the 5 elements of the resilient mind, which that could be a whole other video, such as optimism, right? Self-efficacy, not thinking that things are always a catastrophe, having a silver lining, being able to process emotional regulation, and moving energy through, being able to shift perspectives around a situation, and those areas to build resilient agility, right? Cognitive agility and resilience. So that's the P, perspective imagination, the R, resilient agility, the I, innovative creativity. This book talks about how our unique gift of being human is being creative, thinking of new ideas. The cognitive skills that creativity sits on: your imagination, metaphorical thinking, your ability to think in metaphors, unusual associations, framing and reframing things, and just the ability to connect the unconnected, seeing those connections that no one else sees. And so, and I would also ask, taking risks to try new things, and then having the courage to share those ideas. Once again, that is affected by the culture that you're in. So innovative creativity. The next one, for S, right? You have your P, R, I, and then S is self and social connectedness. So we're calling it that. And our ability to understand ourselves and our ability to understand others. How do you increase your ability to read verbal behavior, tonal, right? Tonal communication, the emotional communication, the emotional messages that are sent through the voice, not through the words, but through the voice, nonverbal communication, and also your ability to build trust, oxytocin. Um, what does the brain need to build these things within ourselves and with others? So, how do we increase these? And the M that Dr. Seligman and Dr. Kellerman talk about is making meaning that matters. So, knowing that your work matters, knowing that your life has purpose, knowing that you get to wake up and do something that you're proud about, you're working towards a goal, you believe it's going to make a difference. Understanding those concepts are so important. And so we are just taking those concepts, but we're looking at it from a different way. Here's the metaphor. Since our logo is already the diamond, and a diamond's already a prism, we want people to understand that when you walk outside, when you go into the sunlight, you may feel the energy from the sunlight. You see light, right? What your eyes doing with the photons. But what you're missing is that you're being bathed with colors all around you. You can't see them because you don't have a prism, right? You don't have, you're not looking at if you have a diamond ring on or something like that. You can see it in your diamond ring. If there was just a rain shower and the sun is hitting the rain from a certain perspective or a certain direction or an angle, you can see it there. The prism, either the water droplets, glass or diamond, or anything that can separate that pure light into multiple colors, that is, I believe that's a gift because you can see different parts of the light and how they come together to create the whole. In prismatic leadership, we develop those skills so leaders can see all of the different talents and skills and abilities that may not look like talents and skills and abilities from a job description perspective. And how do they help your team member come together with their best creativity, their best collaborative skills, and just their best ideas? Prismatic leaders work on these skills so they can lead well. They know how to work on them inside, and they know how to work on them with others. So we look at topics for imagination, like how do you remain open to experience? How do you activate your brain's default mode network to really get into your imaginative thinking ability? How do you use curiosity to shift perspective? Right? That's huge with imagination. And how do you really use meditation as a tool for your prismatic leadership goals? That's huge. And for building resilience, what does it look like to be a prismatic leader that has a resilient and cognitive, agile mind? So we're looking at emotional granulation, emotional regulation. We're looking at cognitive and functional agility. We're looking at self-compassion, optimism, and self-efficacy. These are concepts, but it's my job to break these concepts into exercises that you can employ throughout your leadership training. And of course, creativity. That's huge. That's a big part of our research. How do you look at your belief systems that came from your formative years and say, okay, well, what does it mean to be creative? Have I experienced any creative abuse, right? Do I only think creativity is artistry, or do I see creativity in many areas of the workforce and in many areas of my life? What does that look like? How do you increase your observational skills? You can't be creative if you're not observant and paying attention to certain things, right? There's billions of dollars being spent in order to get your brain to pay attention. So attention is key. How do you get your focus back? And divergent thinking, thinking inside the box and outside the box, and comparing boxes, right? How does that uplift our creativity? So we're looking at those aspects of prismatic leadership. And as far as your self growth and your social growth, we are doing a lot of arts. We do the arts during this developmental time because the arts activate your default mode network and your focus task network at the same time. It's this bridge between your inner world and your outer world. And so that's why you'll see a lot of our keynotes and our corporate training courses have a lot of artistic elements to it for that reason. And plus, it just increases your emotional engagement with the process, and it makes it more memorable that you're able to actually implement behavior change for a longer time. And so we do a lot of self portraits and creating a diamond shaped life, creating a prismatic life, right? We look at yourself, past self, current self, future self. Which exercises can we do to really develop your idea of your future self? There's a lot of research around there. And for you to understand your intercultural development mindset, there's some assessments that we give there, and your communication styles. We all communicate differently. So, what does that look like? And how do you build rapport? How do you build empathetic listening and synchronous aspects within your team? Prismatic leaders know how to do this, and they do it automatically. It's just a part of who they are. And lastly, your work matters. What you do matters. And so we fill our mattering cups. We're more aware and attentive and communicative about understanding what matters to us, why our work matters, and communicating and celebrating it well with our team members as well. We create mattering moments. And so prismatic leadership, people who lead and know how to highlight it and observe the many colors that your team members are bringing to the office space, right? To the table. Those are the leaders who will be rising to the top, because in this banny world, brittle, anxious, nonlinear, and incomprehensible, in this banny world, we need people to be prismatic leaders, to understand how their brain works and to get the tools to get their brain to work on themselves for them and not against them. Those are the elements, using all of the gems from intercultural creativity, using all of the ideas from neurosomatic creativity. How do we understand what our body's doing in relation to our brain and our mind? And how do we lead well in this non-linear world? So that is my talking about this book and talking about prismatic leadership, and really excited to be bringing just some more research to you, some more programs and keynotes to you. Please reach out if you're interested in what this all consists of, and you're interested in bringing this type of interactive play-based brain place training to your organization. We will see you next time, and thanks for joining us for this Diamond Mentor